Whis finally talks about the Saiyan transformation he sees the most potential in, and I'll show you that in today's video. Whis has always been a character shrouded in mystery, but at the same time, extremely perceptive and observant. As the guiding angel of the god of destruction, Beerus, his role is not only to watch over, but also to train and develop the most promising beings in the universe. From the moment he met Goku, Whis identified something that is rarely seen in any being: unlimited potential. It was not just about brute strength, speed, or endurance. There was a characteristic in Goku that transcended these qualities, an almost instinctive ability to evolve under pressure and break his own limits. Whis realized early on that Goku was no ordinary warrior. His thirst for combat, not for ego or domination, but for growth and overcoming, made him different even from other Saiyan. This genuine passion for seeking stronger opponents, for learning from defeats, and for respecting the strength of others created a unique path for his development. That was why Whis not only decided to train him, but did so with a much more attentive eye than usual. During his training with Whis, Goku began to explore levels of power that had previously seemed unattainable. Super Saiyan Blue, with its balance of power and control, was a giant step forward, but Whis knew that this was only the beginning. The true goal was Ultra Instinct, an angelic technique that separates thought from action, allowing the body to move on its own automatically without hesitation. However, Whis also understood something fundamental. Goku would not be able to fully master this technique if he continued to try to replicate it as an angel. He was a Saiyan, and that had to be taken into account. Whis began to test Goku in subtle ways, challenging him not only physically but philosophically. The message Whis wanted to convey was clear. Ultra Instinct, while divine, did not need to be followed as an angelic dogma. Perfection of the technique itself was not the ultimate goal. Goku's true potential lay in his ability to adapt this technique to his own warrior nature. An angel fights with serenity and neutrality, but Goku is emotion, fighting instinct, fire, and explosion. It was this nature that needed to be integrated into Ultra Instinct. That is why, in one of the most decisive moments, Whis told Goku that he should use Ultra Instinct in his own way. This phrase was not just casual advice. It was the recognition that Goku's greatest power did not come from imitation, but from originality. He could indeed master Ultra Instinct, but he needed to mold it with his Saiyan essence. Unstable, unpredictable, but overwhelming, it was the birth of something new, not the reflection of what already existed among the angels. This perception by Whis was crucial for Goku to break the limitation of seeing him only as a master and begin to see him as someone who believed in his unique path. Whis saw in Goku the first mortal capable of integrating an angelic technique with the soul of a battle warrior, something that until then seemed impossible. When Goku began to use Ultra Instinct in combat freely, mixing his Saiyan impulses, his ferocity, and his combat intuition, he began to create a new form where self-control did not exclude his identity but exalted it. This personalized Ultra Instinct was the first step towards something even more revolutionary. The possibility that Goku could create a completely new fighting style, neither angelic nor purely Saiyan, but hybrid. Whis, as the guardian of balance, could not directly intervene in destruction or creation, but he knew that the universe needed new pillars and Goku could be one of them. What Whis saw in Goku was a spark of cosmic transformation, a being who combined the purest instinct of fighting with the transcendental calm of divine technique. Goku's Ultra Instinct began to evolve in a direction that not even the angels could foresee. Instead of Whis' cold serenity, Goku's technique began to pulse with energy, expressiveness, and aggression when necessary, without losing the basis of autonomous movement. It was as if fire and water coexisted. Whis watched from afar silently, but with a slight smile, for he knew that this path could not be taught, it could only be discovered. This also explained why Whis never trained Goku and Vegeta in the same way. Vegeta needed to find his own path, and Whis never imposed the same teachings on both. He knew that each warrior had a distinct essence and that great masters do not mold their disciples as copies, but help them awaken their true natures. In Goku's case, the key has always been in the fusion of emotion and technique, instinct and strategy, savagery and control. The impact of Whis' vision extends far beyond technique. By allowing Goku to reinvent Ultra Instinct, Whis also broke down the barriers that separated mortals from gods. He showed that the divine is not unattainable but transformable. This changes the entire power structure of the multiverse, demonstrating that with self-knowledge and authenticity, a mortal can touch the realm of the absolute in a unique way. Ultimately, what Whis saw in Goku was not just a warrior with potential. He saw a breaking point in the cosmic order. a being capable of transcending predefined forms and creating something entirely new. By telling Goku to use Ultra Instinct in his own way, Whis opened the door to the birth of a new paradigm of power, and that paradigm may still be just beginning to unfold. By accepting this path, Goku is not only mastering Ultra Instinct, he is forging a new form of divinity, one where chaos and harmony coexist, and where true strength is born of authenticity. Whis, with his wisdom and vision beyond time, was the first to see this. Now it is up to Goku to prove that this vision can change not only himself, but the fate of the entire universe. Whis has always watched Goku's progress with silent patience, but with extremely attentive eyes. Even among the many transformations that Saiyan has achieved, from the original Super Saiyan to Blue, from Kaioken to Ultra Instinct, there was one in particular that caught his attention in a unique way: True Ultra Instinct. It was not just another form, but a rare, almost mystical manifestation of the balance between divine instinct and Goku's true essence. For Whis, this was the key that could not only redefine the power level of mortals, but also expand the very limits of what is understood as divinity. True Ultra Instinct, as it first manifested itself, was no longer the cold, calm, and ethereal state that Goku achieved during the Tournament of Power. Now there was expression, emotion, savagery, and control fused into one. Goku fought with a smile on his face, his eyes shining with determination, and his silver hair moving as if it were alive, all without losing the fluidity and automatic movement characteristic of instinct. It was a paradox that only he could sustain, the warm soul of a Saiyan warrior combined with the precise neutrality of an angel. Whis understood immediately what that represented. The form he would call True Ultra Instinct was the perfect fusion of power, identity, and freedom. Goku was no longer stuck in the attempt to become an angel. He was treading a new path, and most importantly, it was an incomplete form in a good way, incomplete because it had room to grow, to expand, to absorb other layers of power, including his old transformations. And that was when Whis began to visualize something that perhaps not even Goku had yet considered: the possibility of fusing Ultra Instinct with the raw nature of the common Super Saiyan. This combination in theory seemed antagonistic. The Super Saiyan is explosive energy, controlled anger, a scream from the soul. Ultra Instinct is subtlety, pure movement without hesitation. But in True Ultra Instinct, Goku has already proven that it is possible to combine emotion with precision. So why not go one step further? The fusion of True Ultra Instinct with base Super Saiyan would not simply mean a new level of transformation, but rather the birth of a new type of warrior. A warrior who carries the heat, fury, and determination of his race, something that should never be left aside with the refined and transcendental technique of angelic art. This form would have the most primitive traits of Saiyan power, but elevated to its purest state, governed by a higher consciousness. It would be the balance between the primal and the divine. We saw that this transformation, if achieved, would not depend on rituals, fusions, or absorptions. It would be the fruit of pure, personal, and authentic evolution. It would be a form that only Goku could achieve, and more than that, something that no angel, Kaioshin, or even God of Destruction could replicate, as its origin would be rooted in a DNA that is uniquely mortal. A clear reflection of the vision that Whis has always had. Mortals are not inferior, they just haven't awakened everything they can be. With True Ultra Instinct as the foundation, what prevents Goku from incorporating even the power of Super Saiyan 2 or 3 in this state? Perhaps he can alternate the degrees of intensity as if he were controlling the volume of a cosmic power. Perhaps he can channel the force in more explosive forms such as Blue or Kaioken with the stability of instinct. In any scenario, what Whis saw was the construction of a warrior who no longer depends on external formulas but creates his own. The most curious thing for Whis is that Goku doesn't even fully realize what he's doing. He simply follows his nature. He fights, he makes mistakes, he learns, he feels. But that's what makes him unique. Angels have perfection from the beginning, but they have no journey. Goku follows his own path with pain, sweat, and soul. True Ultra Instinct is a reflection of this. It is as if Whis is witnessing the birth of something that goes beyond the divine hierarchy. Whis has already left clues that even angels have limits. They are neutral by essence, immutable by duty. But a being like Goku can change. He evolves not only in power, but in feeling, vision, and understanding. This makes him dangerous for those who cling to the old rules of the universe. Because if Goku really achieves this hybrid form of Ultra Instinct with Super Saiyan, he will not only be surpassing the gods, he will be creating a new type of divinity. Perhaps something unprecedented since the birth of the angels themselves. This new form would also be a threat to the very principles of the multiverse. What happens when a mortal shows that he can combine the best of all worlds? that he can be faster than the angels, more resistant than the gods of destruction, and more creative than any other race? Whis, with his eternal calm, just observes. He doesn't fear, he celebrates, because he always believed that the universe needed to change, and maybe Goku is that change. That's why Whis is betting everything on True Ultra Instinct, because this form, far from being the end, is the beginning of a new era. It's not a technique that Goku learned, it's a state that he created, and the potential for growth is practically limitless. True Ultra Instinct with Super Saiyan is not an absurd idea, it's inevitable, and when it happens, the universe will never be the same again. Whis, with his ever-vigilant and analytical eye, understands that Goku is still only in the early stages of True Ultra Instinct. However, he also recognizes that this state opens up almost infinite paths for future evolutions. One of the most promising advances would be the ability to channel the power of Super Saiyan Blue within the domain of True Ultra Instinct. This would create an even more lethal, strategic, and powerful version, combining the energy efficiency and control of Blue with the absolute reflexes of Instinct. Super Saiyan Blue in itself is already an advanced form that mixes the divine energy of Super Saiyan God with the traditional transformation. However, since it relies on focus, balance, and self-control, it requires great mastery to be used for long periods. By integrating it with True Ultra Instinct, Goku would not only reduce the excessive energy expenditure, but would also take the use of Blue to a new level. The result would be a form that maintains the emotional stability and precision of angels, but with the impact force of a divine warrior prepared for the most extreme combat. And no enemy would demand as much as Black Frieza. This new Frieza, after years of training in his own time chamber, has transcended conventional limits. He is not only stronger, he is strategically more lethal, meticulous, and cruel. To face him, Goku will need more than brute force or automatic reflexes. He will need a form that combines raw power, mental control, and the ability to adapt in real time, and that form is precisely True Ultra Instinct fused with Super Saiyan Blue. This union also represents the next stage in Goku's journey. He is no longer limited to choosing between a purely instinctive fighting style or a transformation of power. He is learning to synchronize all his techniques and identities into a single combat presence, something no other warrior has ever done. Fight like a god, think like an angel, and feel like a Saiyan. And with this harmonized triad, he will be able to pressure even an entity like Black Frieza, who currently represents the greatest threat to universal balance. For Whis, the most exciting thing is that Goku does not stop evolving. The prospect of seeing True Ultra Instinct embodying Blue is more than a dream, it is a natural development for someone who refuses to stagnate. And perhaps when this new fusion manifests itself, not even the angels will know what will come next, because Goku, unlike any other being, is breaking the limits of creation with his own spirit. He does not fight just to win, he fights to discover what exists beyond the impossible. By successfully fusing True Ultra Instinct with Super Saiyan Blue, Goku would not only be using advanced techniques together, he would be creating a new paradigm of combat. Saiyan Blue has always been known for its rigidity and need for absolute focus, but True Ultra Instinct could compensate for this limitation, allowing Goku to fight with the maximum of divine energy without losing the spontaneity of his movements. It would be like giving fluidity to the power of lightning, relentless but now unpredictable. This form could become the most versatile Goku has ever had, allowing dynamic transitions between the ferocity of Saiyan and the serenity of the angel. Against Black Frieza, this would be essential. The villain has already demonstrated not only overwhelming power, but also a mastery over his emotions and strategies that surpass the Friezas of the past. He is no longer an arrogant tyrant, he is a calculating warrior. Goku, on the other hand, evolves as he fights, and this new combination of Ultra Instinct and Blue would give him the freedom to adapt to every attack, predict every move, and respond with power that doesn't sacrifice control. It would be the perfect balance between offense and survival, capable of leveling the playing field even against someone who has surpassed the gods of destruction. Whis sees all of this not as a distant possibility, but as an almost certain future. He sees Goku as the first being who can truly transcend the role of apprentice to the gods and angels and become something beyond them. The fusion of True Ultra Instinct with Super Saiyan Blue would be just another piece of this ascension, a natural step for someone who has already begun to walk the path of true divinity. Goku is not just a warrior, he is becoming a symbol of what a mortal can achieve when he does not bow to the impossible nor to the divine. With True Ultra Instinct enhanced by Super Saiyan Blue, Goku would no longer depend on rational limits to access his power. He would become a pure extension of his own will to protect, evolve, and challenge the cosmos. His every move would carry the serenity of the gods and the fury of the Saiyans in perfect harmony. And that is precisely what would make this form so feared. It would not be just a transformation, but an affirmation that Goku is no longer a simple warrior in search of power. He is a force of nature that redefines the concept of combat. Whis sees all of this not as a distant possibility, but as an almost certain future. He sees Goku as the first being who can truly transcend the role of apprentice to the gods and angels and become something beyond them. The fusion of true Ultra Instinct with Super Saiyan Blue would be just another piece of this ascension, a natural step for someone who has already begun to walk the path of true divinity. Goku is not just a warrior, he is becoming a symbol of what a mortal can achieve when he does not bow to the impossible nor to the divine. With true Ultra Instinct enhanced by Super Saiyan Blue, Goku would no longer depend on rational limits to access his power. He would become a pure extension of his own will to protect, evolve, and challenge the cosmos. His every move would carry the serenity of the gods and the fury of the Saiyans in perfect harmony. And that is precisely what would make this form so feared. It would not be just a transformation, but an affirmation that Goku is no longer a simple warrior in search of power. He is a force of nature that redefines the concept of combat. But comment on what you thought of all this, and don't forget to like. Thank you very much for all your support, and see you next time.